is Michelle with Pink and Maine. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm going to be doing a plan with me kind of video, and we're going to be decorating some planner pages or journal pages for January. I'm a little behind with January. I know it's the end of January here, but I still want the pages in my journal, so we're going to go ahead and decorate them, and I will continue this series throughout the year, and of course the next months I will be a little more ahead than I am this month, but I still wanted to do it, and I think it's a cute page, and you can use the processes or techniques throughout the year in decorating. So let's go ahead and let's get started. I want to make some cute journal / calendar pages for my journal, be a little more artistic for myself this year, do something fun that I enjoy. I really do enjoy my planner / journal. I wanted to show you just a little process of how I'm going to do so. I have one of our planner pocket pages here, and this is the full one, so it's like a page protector. It'll hold one sheet inside of it. So we're going to be using that. I'm going to decorate pages to go in that. I also have from our calendar journal pages just 1 month, and that's going to be for January. I've cut some pattern papers that I want to use, and that's from our Cozy Winter paper pack. I've also got our January rub-ons, which have a real fun winter theme. You know, a lot of you are experiencing a really cold winter, so I'm trying to decide how we're going to start, what we'll start on first. I think I'll set the calendar page aside for the moment, and we'll start on the paper that I want to go inside our journal pocket or planner pockets, and this is going to kind of be the front to my calendar set for the month. So as I mentioned, I've cut out some pattern paper from our Cozy Winter paper pack. I also have some of our planner stamps because we're going to be using some of these as we work through. I'm also using the stamps and dies. The set is called Flurry of Fun. There's these adorable penguins, polar bears, and they're playing in the snow, and this cute little snowman too. So we'll be adding them. So I've just cut a background piece to fit in the pocket. And on the description of the website, I say the size that these are, but I've cut this, I believe it's 5 inches wide by 8 1/4. And that's going to slide down into our pocket. So I've just cut this. It looks like a little snowy background. I love that. I've also cut a strip of the plaid to go across the bottom. A strip of this purple with like little, I call them funky snowflakes. And then I took a piece of our journal paper, the dot grid, and I cut a strip to go across the front here. So what we're going to do on this dot grid paper is I'm going to use that to stamp January. So we'll do our stamping first. I keep my stamps in our little storage pockets here with the Velcro closure. These are nice and big, like 9 by 7. So they'll keep your 6 by 8 large stamp sets really nice. So I'm trying to decide, do we want the script, like really pretty script January, or do we want just a nice bold? I think we'll use the script. I kind of like that. And then I'm going to make my year 2026 with these number stamps here. So let's get our January, and I'm going to use my mini MISTI to do my stamping for this, at least for the month, because it's a nice large image. So I'll line my paper up in the corner. And then I want it on the bottom right, or over to the right side. when I glue it down. So I'm going to place it here. It says January. I can kind of use the dots as a guide. And I want to leave enough room underneath it to put my 2026. Get it nice and lined up in the corner again, and we'll ink it up. I got a few color inks here. I think I'm going to do it in Barbershop, which is a nice navy blue. I think the nice blue will go with the colors that we're doing in the papers. So we will ink up our stamp on this side. Take it over and just stamp down. Since the paper is sticking, I just take my finger and I rub it up underneath the stamp image and then peel my paper. And that looks really good for the first stamp. But the magic of the MISTI is you can stamp over it again and get an even darker, more solid image if you've missed a spot on the stamp. I'm just going to stamp again just to get a little darker image. There we go. Beautiful. Nice, deep, dark, navy blue January. I'm going to set my MISTI aside. I'll clean that up in a bit. Now I also want to stamp 2026 with the numbers, but I think I want to do them in a different color. So close up my Barbershop ink pad. And I'm going to use one of our stamping blocks to do this part. Sometimes you just need a good little stamping block when you just want to do some smaller images and you have to stamp them in a little area like this. We've got 1 through 31, so I'm going to take the 20 and then I'm going to take the 26. That works out great. Okay, so we'll stamp the 20 first and then we'll stamp the 26. So I'm going to stamp them individually so I can get them closer together. The border around the stamp causes them to be a little apart if you tried to stamp them both at the same time. So I'm just going to ink up my 20 and stamp it right there. Okay. And then I've got my 26. There, I like it. As I mentioned, I'll clean those up and put them away properly later. There, so we have our 2026, January 2026. So now let's start building our page. I'm just layering these pieces so they have a border at the top and the bottom. and then we'll put them on the main page. There, it's almost like you're building a card or a scrapbook page. All these paper crafts kind of go together. You can use your supplies from one to do something else. We just have to think outside the box sometimes. So now I'm going to add our snowman with our two little penguin friends. I think I want them sitting right on top of this white, the white layer here. And I left enough room over here to have our dancing penguin be there, and then our other one will be a little higher and be on this side of the snowman. I'll put the other guy right there. How cute is that? And now we have a super adorable, yet sweet and simple and easy to put together introductory page for the journal for January. So I'm going to go ahead and I will slide this in the little planner pocket, just like so. When we flip it over, it's blank. So I want something cute to go here as well, but I also want something functional. So we want to be able to use this, right? So I've created another page. I've cut out more little patterns from our Cozy Winter paper pad. I cut out a sheet of the blue. So this would be 8 1/4 by 5. And then an inch smaller, I cut, or out of the plaid, I cut this blue piece with like the snow flurries on it, just an inch smaller to fit in the center there. And then another inch smaller, I cut more of the dot grid journal paper. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make this an important dates sheet, so I can write all the important dates for January. You know, one important one, my mom's birthday's in January, so I'll make sure to add that, and any other things that I need to remember, anniversaries, things like that, I'm thinking of things I want to send cards for, but you can do whatever you want on this if you have an important list that you'd like to keep for the month. So as I'm designing the page, I'm going to use some of our January rub-ons on this page. The first one I'm going to use is the important dates, and I'm going to put that up at the top of this dot grid paper. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. With the rub-ons, you just cut out the image that you want to use. You take the backer off of it. It has a little backer paper, like release paper. And then you put it where you want. On the page. So I'm going to put it there. And then you just rub it on. They come with a little wooden popsicle stick. And we're just going to rub that image onto our paper. You want to rub really good and give it some good pressure. And when you think you have that image down, I'm just going to lift a corner, slowly peel back. If something didn't rub on, you can always go back and rub it again, but my image transferred perfectly. That's great. So now I have that nice little important dates up at the top. I've also cut out this border strip. So I want to put this across the bottom just to add a little extra color, a little border. So I'm going to go ahead and do that before we stick anything down. This is a little longer than my paper, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it to fit. I can cut just a hair more off of here. There we go. And I can save this piece for something else if I like. So let's go ahead and add our little border strip, the rub-on. You have it where you want it. Again, you just put it down and you transfer by rubbing that image onto the paper. Again, you can start at the edge here. And any part that doesn't seem to have rubbed on, we can just put it back down and apply a little more pressure and get the image transferred. There we go. Now we have it just adds a little extra something there at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere the pages together. And there we have our important dates page so far. And it would be fine if you just like clean and simple and want to leave it like this. I want to add some more of those fun little characters to my page. So I've got the polar bear and the penguin. They're having a little snowball fight. So I'm just going to add them to the bottom of the page. Got a little snow hill there. I'm just going to add that first. We'll add the polar bear to the other side. And he needs a little little stack of snowballs in there, I think. And then the extra one I'm not going to use. All right, so there is our important dates. So you can put this in the planner pocket, add your dates to it. You can always pull it out and add more as you need to. There we go. I love that. We've got the front nicely decorated, January. Got our important dates, and we can put this in front of our either our art journal for the month or our calendar pages. And speaking of calendar pages, let's pull them over. So first I wanted to show you our calendar pages. You get the 12 months. On one side we've got the grid. On the back we have the grid, which the grid is a great place to keep notes, write notes, a doodle, draw, write down important things, and then you have a blank calendar inside. So I want to decorate the front of this. I'm a card maker, started out as a scrapbooker. I like everything decorated and pretty. Gives you a chance to be creative. So I cut a piece of the purple little funky snowflake paper from the Cozy Winter paper pad. I'm just going to add that down first. I cut a strip of this snowflake pattern just to go across up and down the top like so. And you can use your grid as a guide to get everything nice and straight. And mine hangs over the top just a tad. I didn't trim it down to the right length. So I'm going to go ahead and just with my scissors, I'm going to trim the excess. Just like that. And then I took our stitch circle dies and I cut 2 different sizes of circles. They have that nice stitched border around them. And we're going to put one kind of right down here and one up here just to create some decoration. And I've got another polar bear from the Flurry of Fun stamp set. Isn't he cute? Look at that. He's going to be on that circle. On the other circle, I'm going to put a little rub on. Before I adhere the other circle down, I want to add that rub on to it first. All right, so we've got our adorable polar bear. And the rub-on I chose from the January rub-ons. So cute. It says, "Wake me up when winter ends." I'm definitely not a winter person, so I would be hibernating like the polar bears if it were really cold. So I like that little sentiment on this rub-on. So I'm just going to, again, peel the release paper from the back of the image and rub the image on. I'm going to peel up from the corner. When you've got an image that has lots of small parts and pieces to it, you want to make sure that you rub the entire image and you get all of those pieces to transfer. There we go. I'm going to put that and get a little bit more. There we go. So now we have our little Wake Me Up When Winter Ends. And I'm going to put that just right up here. I'm going to peel up the polar bear's paw a little bit, and I'm going to put that right underneath his paw so they overlap a little bit. Just like so. You want your designs to overlap. Everything works together, comes together. It's pleasing to your eye. And there is the beginning of our January calendar pages. Now we just get to decorate the inside however we want. Put important things, appointments, things you have to do, whatever you like to put in your planner. Maybe you just like to doodle and keep track of the dates and make it cute with some rub-ons and papers and stamped images like I'm doing. So I cut out 5 pattern paper squares. I just measured the square here. I think it's about 1.25 inches. You'll want to measure it before you cut, of course. But I cut out 5 because 5 is a nice odd number. And your eye likes things in odd numbers. And I'm just going to randomly put 5 of these on the calendar. I like the way they look, and they just add more color to the design and look of the planner. I'm going to move this one down here so it doesn't interfere with the hole. And maybe we'll put this one down here. Okay, and if you need to place yours where you don't want to cover up a certain date because you need to write something down, you can definitely do that. Or you don't have to put these on. There we go. I just know I want my calendar to be decorative and cute. It just makes me happy, makes me smile when I look at it or add things to it. So now we're going to add some more of our rub-ons. I know I definitely need to add the January month. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out and have it ready. We're going to use the dates here as well, so I will cut them out. I'm not going to cut them out individually just yet. Just cut them out in one piece and be ready to go. Get the fundamentals out first and ready, and we also want to add our days of the week. So we'll cut those out and have them ready as well. I'm going to add our month and days of the week first. So I'm gonna pull over the second side of the month to add my Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you just remove the release paper. From your rub-on, put it where you want it on the paper and just rub it down. Slowly peel up from a corner, and again, they're so forgiving because if a part of it you didn't rub it quite well enough, place it down and rub again. So now we have our Friday. Okay, now we're ready to do Saturday and Sunday as well. These days have little flourishes at the end, so they do run into each other. So the good thing about rub-ons is we can actually edit them a little bit. I'm going to take the Saturday and I'm going to cut the flourish off the end of Saturday because it's in between Friday and Sunday, and they both have flourishes. And if I use the one on Saturday, it just runs too much into the next day. So this way I can make them fit a little bit better in the space. And I want to keep the flourish on the end of Sunday, that way it ends the weeks here with a nice little flourish on the end. So you can definitely cut off parts of the rub-ons that you prefer not to have, which makes them very versatile. So now I'll just take Sunday and put it here. That fits nicely, and the little flourish at the end. There we go. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Before I put the week headings on this side, I'm going to go ahead and add our January here up at the top, the very top. So remove the release paper. And it just fits perfectly up here in this space. Again, I'll start to peel it up in the corner. And sometimes I kind of rub on it as I peel it up, if that makes sense. Peel it up as you rub against what you're peeling up, and it'll get that image nice and clean and transferred down onto the paper. There we go. I love that. Looks really nice. And it's super flat on the paper. It's not like a sticker you're adding that adds bulk. Now we've got to add our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm going to look, see how they fit. Wednesday is pretty wide, so I'm going to add it first. I'm going to cut these apart. So as I mentioned, I'm going to add Wednesday first. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I want to make sure I add it to the proper location. So I'm going to add it first. I'm going to center it over where it belongs. And then we'll add Wednesday first because it's the longest day. I want to make sure it fits. And then I can fit the other days around it. If I need to cut off the extra little flourish decoration after the word, I can do that. Now Thursday, I'm going to go ahead and add that, and I believe I can leave the flourish on Thursday because it is at the end of the page. We'll just let it go off the end. Wednesday, Thursday, and then let's see how Monday and Tuesday fit. I think I'll cut the flourish off of Tuesday and we'll leave it on Monday. And we're almost done with the days of the week. And here's what we have so far. We have our month, we have our days of the week, and then we just need to put our individual dates on here. And then do some more decorating. Okay, so January 1st started on a Thursday. So I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna keep the release paper behind most of this. I'm gonna expose the first. Now it also exposes another one down here. If you're really careful, you don't have to cut these individual little days separate to rub them on. Just be really careful you don't apply a lot of pressure on any other area except the one date that you want to put on. So I'm just putting the one here, and I'm only applying pressure on that number one. Then we'll peel it off, and there we have our one. So I'm just going to go and do that for each of the days. 2 will be on Friday, so we'll do that one together. And I just put the date up in the top left corner of the square. You can put it wherever you want. This is your creative planner. And we'll just continue through the whole month of applying the dates. I won't make you sit through me rubbing on every single one of the 31 days. Okay, so now we have all of our days of the month filled in. I just went through and rubbed them all on. Now, I made a mistake. I'm gonna have to fix these 2 dates here, but I'll get another rub on, or I can stamp the dates on here. I started to put the wrong date on the wrong square, so that got me messed up. So definitely make sure you check your calendar and you're going across and you're getting everything where it belongs in order. I think it's looking great so far. I'm loving it. It's very cute. It's very winter themed. Now we can add some other decorative elements if we want to. I really like this snowflake border here, so I want to use that. So let's cut these other things away. And remember, keep the other rub-ons on the release paper if you're not using them. You don't want them to come off. They are a little bit tacky underneath, so you don't want them to stick to something else like this. I don't want to stick that down on my desk. Keep it on the release paper. So I want to put this snowy border going across my pages at the top, and I'll kind of center it. I'm going to flip them upside down to do it so I can be right there at that edge. I'm going to put the pages together in the center, just like so. And then I'm going to lay this and kind of center it from the word January here. We'll start it really close to that, and then we'll just go across, and hopefully that will leave me enough room over here. I can put another element on that side. So we'll rub this on. I'm going to carefully lift this up here in between the two pages and just snip the rub-on. We should be good on this side. Yep. And then I'll finish rubbing on the second side. There we go. Now we have a nice little decorative border at the top. Let's look at some of the other elements that we have. So these are some great little elements to add if you have a laundry day, you've got to go shopping, a doctor's appointment, trash day, taking your weight, reminding you to drink your water, or whatever you want to use those for. Here's some dumbbells for like a gym or workout schedule, a little pill, maybe you need to pick up a prescription. So those are some great things to add where you need them on your calendar. I want to use this little square or rectangle down here at the bottom. I'm going to add it down here at the bottom of this little side panel here. So this is a nice place to put like some dedicated notes, like something you want to highlight or really notice. So I'm going to add that down here. So we have a little place we can add notes. You can write on our rub-ons. So I tested it with like a regular ballpoint pen. You can write on the rub-ons, be fine. So we've got a nice place here. To add some notes that we want to definitely see and remember. There we go, I like that. It also adds a little extra color to the layout. If you have something dedicated that you want to use for this little note section, you can look at the titles here. I'm gonna put, I think a good one for right there is maybe like either deadlines or to-do list, or maybe errands. I'm gonna put to-do list in that spot. You can even separate it and use a few lines for each if you want. You can put your birthdays, anniversaries. We've got several different little titles there. I'm going to go ahead and put to-do list up there at the top. Again, if you're decorating your calendar or planner, you can do it just the way you want it so that it fits your needs and your likes. All right, so now we can start or continue. Now we can continue to keep decorating here. We've got so many fun elements to use. Sometimes it's hard to decide. I really like this Bring On the Cozy, and I think I'm going to put it right up here. Right up under this Monday here. There's no date there, so there's nothing important that has to go there. Again, I'm going to be careful. I'm not going to cut it out. I'm just going to lay it here. Carefully rub it on without rubbing into the other images around it. You can do that carefully if you want, or you can definitely cut out the image and rub it on and make sure that you're not going into the other images. There we go. I really like that. Bring On the Cozy. There's definitely lots of little elements on the rub-ons here to add. So just deciding what you want to use and where. I'm going to fix my error with the date that I did right here on the 9th. I'm going to fill that spot up with one of these little banner things. So maybe there's something to write here, and that fixes my little boo-boo with the date. I like that. It's always a little fix you can do. So you've got a couple more of those that you can use somewhere. Let's see what we've got here. Always freezing. Yeah, that's me. I'm always freezing, even when it's not even that cold. I'm such a wimp when it comes to cold weather. I might have to use that somewhere. I think I definitely have to use it. So I'm going to cut that one out. And I'm just going to add it to one of the little squares here on the dates. Maybe a date that I don't need to add anything important or anything that I'm doing special. And I'm just putting it down so that I'm getting it where I want, and the words are going straight across the square. So let's apply that. I love that. That's so cute. And look how nice that rub-on is. It has very thin writing. That freezing is very thin and detailed, and it came out beautifully. It looks great. This is so much fun. And like I said, I'm going to do this for myself this year. Let's use some other decorative elements, and we can definitely fill in lots of these squares now that January is actually almost over as I'm filming this. But I definitely want something pretty still in my journal for January. And I will fill in, when I'm done decorating, I will fill in some important things or dates that I want to remember later on that happened in the month of January. So now I'm looking, we have a couple of snowmen. We have some hot chocolate. We have some other things like appointment we could put somewhere. We have some other banners that would highlight something that you want to add. You've got some bill payments, that reminders, a habit tracker. We've got steps and hydrate. We've got another little square here with lines for some notes. This one has some beautiful snowflakes we can add. I love this sentiment over here. It says hot chocolate connoisseur. Love that. I'm going to cut out a couple of these snowmen, and we're going to add them. Our calendar pages for the journals, they also come with your 52 weeks. So they not only come with the 12 months, you also get the 52 weeks. So you can decorate weekly pages as well if you like to do things and keep up with more like a daily tracker, daily planner, or weekly. There's more pages like that in the set. That you can use. So I'm going to put one snowman there and one down here. I'm just trying to kind of balance everything out. So let's put this guy on first. I'll move the release paper. And we'll rub him on. These are really cute snowmen. Tiny little edge of his hat didn't transfer, so I'll just put it back down and rub that on. Look, oh, super cute. He's adorable up there. And again, these rub-on transfers I think are great for your journal and planner. They don't take up the bulk that stickers do. They're super flat to your page. You don't even feel them on there when you rub across. These would make great gifts too. Decorate a journal for your friend or loved one and give it to them at the holidays, so the next year they have a really cute creative planner. Okay, and now our second little snowman is down. This is looking really cute. I want to put something over here, and I think I'm going to put we've got a little mug. There's an arrow also you can use to point to something. So I think I'm going to add our little mug over here. I think that looks great, and that's a great little layout for January. I think I want to put a little something decorative down here in this corner. We have bring on the cozy, a lot going on over there. Put a little something here in this corner, and then something, I think I'll put a big snowflake up here at the top. And I'll use the nice light blue one. Up here at the top corner, kind of. I'm going to keep it connected to the other one just because I'm going to use the other one too. So I'm going to keep the release paper on the back of this kind of greenish color one while I rub the blue one on in this corner. Okay. Oh yeah, that's very nice. It's nice and delicate up there. We'll save some elements so that we can decorate weekly pages, or if we need to add something later when we're filling in. Like I said, normally I wouldn't do all this decorating before the month necessarily because you don't know where you're going to write in certain things that you want to write down, kind of decorate as you go. But since January is just about done, we're going to fill in most of these areas like we want. I'm going to take this little snowman guy here. It says warm winter wishes and snowman kisses. And I'm going to add him in that bottom corner. Super cute. I've got this blue arrow, and I think the only thing I'm seeing as I look at my layout is we've got this corner down here without much. So I'm just gonna add this arrow at the bottom going this way, and it kind of just pulls your eye and brings it over into the monthly layout. Okay, and there is our January layout. I love that. I think it came out super cute. I love the addition of the pattern paper because it just kind of fills in and gives more color and more interest to your eye to the layout. We've got the rub-ons, and I have plenty of rub-ons left that I can decorate weekly pages to go along with this. You also can flip over the back. I plan just to leave the back blank like this. You can add more rub-ons back here. You can make this more lists. You can do anything you want back here. Maybe add some creative. I might do some drawing or coloring or something. But we've got our January calendar layout. We have an adorable front to that layout, as well as our pocket page that goes in front of that. So everything matches and coordinates. And I can't wait to put this in my journal. I'll add some dates to it. And we're going to add to this throughout the year this year. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this quick little video where we planned out our January journal and calendar pages, and I hope you'll join me each month to do the same. Are you a planner? I love planning and having a journal, and I plan to be more proactive this year with actually using it. I want to be more artistic and do something for myself. Always making cards and doing creative things for work, but I want to do something for myself, and that's kind of what this is. So I hope you've enjoyed, and you'll join me again. Until next time, keep living the creative life.